to everyone. Probably won't get some likes for quite a bit, but it is what it is. I'm running errands today. I've been all over. Literally woke up at like 8 this morning and I was out the door heading to get my hair cut, which is about 20 minutes away. So went and got my hair cut, and then I went to pick up my glasses and pick up some more stuff for my contacts. Don't sleep on your vision insurance, by the way. My vision insurance is actually really good, and I didn't think that was the case until I actually went in and ended up walking out with screening for my contacts and glasses. I got a pair of glasses and a year supply of contacts for under $300. That is very surprising, especially because of the fact that my glasses that I picked were name brand glasses. So anyway, I digress. But I really wanted to just check in. I'm driving. Yes, I am hands-free. I'm using my accessory that I plug to my window, so I am driving safe. But a couple of things I kind of want to talk about, which is something that I'm going to dive into more when I do a video today. But I'm on Snapchat. My Snapchat is Plus Life of Pat. So please follow me. Please keep up with me, because I do have a lot going on, and I really share a lot of my adventures flying. I shouldn't really be wearing this shirt, so I'll just kind of cover it up because I don't want to Anyway, so kind of one of the things that have been irking me is so I was on Snapchat, I followed this person, and I guess they were having a bad day, and they were just I don't want anybody to bother me anymore. I'm gonna start saying that I have AIDS or HIV, and hopefully people won't bother me anymore. So I kind of messaged her, and I was HIV, AIDS, question mark? What are you trying to say? And she was yeah. And I'm okay. I don't know. For me, it bothers me the fact that people and this is a person who's a trans woman of color. And I mean, I get it. Maybe I'm being a little bit too sensitive on the matter. But for me, it's you're a trans woman of color. You know what it's like to be stigmatized. You know what it's like to be beaten down in terms of holistically, your mind, your body, and even your spirit at times. And you have the audacity to try to say that you're going to start identifying yourself as someone who is HIV positive or someone who has been diagnosed with AIDS, and be in a position where no one bothers you. But that bothers me, because why do we have to continue to utilize and beat down, and not really say beat down, but really stigmatize HIV, right? It's 2017. Can we stop? Can we really stop stigmatizing HIV? Can we really start having healthier, more proactive and progressive conversations about what it's like to be living with HIV in 2017? So yeah, that really irks me, and I don't, especially since I've transitioned outside of public health, I've had to definitely have more of a per se my tolerance for ignorance has had to go up. Because of the fact that in the public health field, you can really scold and talk down to folks who are not really talk down, but scold and really set people straight in terms of any actions or words that they use to stigmatize any health condition or any gender or sexual identity. And because this public health field is for the most part progressive, but when you leave and go to a conservative company or Fortune 500 company that obviously has slower time, it takes a longer time to basically address these issues, it makes it more difficult. And the thing is, for me, I'm an activist, and I am pushing for everyone to have a seat at the table. So to give you a perfect example, the company that I work for, we had this this discussion, this huge forum where they brought in different flight attendants and personnel from throughout the system to sit down and have a conversation regarding essentially an inclusion conversation. And yes, it was more geared towards folks of color, black folk. But I was at this meeting, and I brought up why aren't we hiring and having a push you know, we talk about like inclusion of like black folk. We talk about
in 1 mile.
We talk about like inclusion of black folk. We talk about like the reality that, you know, the lesbian and gay community are accepted beyond our trans brothers and sisters and folk, and even our non-conforming and as well as our bi family, but yet we don't offer them opportunity. So in this meeting, you know, we had our vice president,
Police
like a couple of
ahead.
Sorry, that's my GPS, but we had a couple of vice presidents at the table, and you know, one of the things that I mentioned was like, what's the situation on like us hiring more gender non-conforming folk, more trans women of color, because and I had to explain to them, I was like, I mean, hopefully you're aware, but you know, trans women of color specifically don't have opportunity. They lack the ability to be able to go out and do a lot that our privileged selves are able to do. And most importantly, they don't feel comfortable a lot of times, and this is just my privilege speaking, but also not only my privilege speaking, but the fact that I had conversations with and really met and gotten to know a lot of trans folks who work at the company that I work at. Oh my God. So anyway, I basically was talking about like the importance of inclusion with trans folk. And like when I tell you, everybody in the room was like, well, this is not what we're here for. Like that's kind of the look they gave me, like a look of like not satisfied or disgusted kind of about like what I said, like the majority of the room. Now granted, there were a few people who were like on board with it, but a lot of people kind of looked like, ugh. And I'm like, dude, like the reality of the situation is that we can't, as black folk, expect to be treated as equal in a society that's been run by a majority and gives no shits about like the minority until we embrace all minority, like until we embrace, you know, our Arabic and Muslim brothers and sisters that are being oppressed and being mistreated and being disrespected. Like we can't do anything until we address the issue in regards to women's health and the fact that women have a right to be able to choose, the right of choice. Women are a minority. We have to discuss the fact that like obviously there's an issue with health literacy within our country. So when we look at like the fact that like they're looking to appeal Affordable Care Act or Obamacare, and folks don't truly understand what this means, that's a health literacy conversation that we have to have. That generally impacts minorities. Folks on the lower end of the socioeconomic status are folks who don't necessarily have the formal education to be able to be knowledgeable about things that are going on that impact them. The lack of the greater empathy that stops people from actually voting and being engaged in the political process as well. So also the intersectionality between HIV and AIDS, public health crises, but most importantly, the reality that like our trans brothers and sisters are also going through it as well. And, you know, we should not forget about them. So anyway, I was just really disgusted because it's just like, you know, as much as we advocate, as much as many of us advocate for our trans brothers and sisters and other issues that impact us greatly, we have to be very critical and very careful not to, you know, say or have actions that could upset the people that are helping you in the first place. Like, and again, like I think we are definitely coming within a society that's very sensitive in regards to culture and things that are going on. But I think it's valid. I mean, so many times, and so many years ago, the thoughts and ideas and the frustrations of black folk throughout Jim Crow were ignored. No one gave a damn. White folks didn't give a damn about what we had to say or what our frustrations and issues were. It was just about like, well, get on now, like keep it moving, like no one really cares. And now that we're in this position where folks are starting to listen, I think our thoughts and our frustrations are valid, right? But we have to just make sure that we're sensitive to everyone's thoughts and frustrations and concerns. So that's another thing too. Or maybe I'm just rambling, but it's been very frustrating. I mean, for me to be engaged and, you know, and again, the percentage of my engagement definitely has fallen off, but I will say that like it is frustrating to be advocating at a Fortune 500 company and then turn around and see like so many different trans folk like misuse or stigmatize against HIV, but yet you're being stigmatized because you're empowerment to basically decide that your gender identity. And it takes guts, it takes balls, but don't beat down and, you know, stigmatize the folks as well who are going through essentially a phase of having a scarlet letter on them. So yeah, I let it go, but you know, that really frustrated me last night because, you know, this person's really cool. I really like this person, but you know, for them to kind of like say what they did and kind of like didn't want to like seem empathetic about like their choice of words, it struck a nerve. So the other thing I want to talk about, which I am going to talk about on a video I'm going to make when I get home for the gym, because I'm actually heading to the gym now, or it's like actually it's a two-part thing. So one, you know, it's hard. Like summertime is coming. I'm really trying to get back into shape. Like, you know, at one point, like I think last year I was weighing about like 200 pounds. I got down to like 180, and now I'm like back up into like the 190s, and I'm just really trying to work to get to a space where like I feel like physically healthy, but also I'm getting back to the weight that I was at like when I was in high school. And it's like as I get older, it seems it's much harder to be able to do that. It sucks. And then another thing I want to talk about today is Rachel Dolezal. So like if you aren't familiar with her, she's the person who was like a part of like running an NAACP chapter and identified as black. I still identify as black, and basically was called out by her family and friends as like calling her out because she's white, and basically her identifying as transracial. But I mean, I'll kind of give you a preview of my thoughts, but like, you know what, like I get the transracial like kind of really turned me off, and like now that she's continuing to push it, like that like wears me thin. But I think the conversation that we have to have is like, Mama was down for the cause. Like Mama was like running an NAACP chapter. Mama had like truly like integrated herself into black culture and into like the actual essence of blackness. And I think even now, like a lot of times like pop stars, like celebrities, the Catch Me Outside girl, like who wears me out, is making millions of dollars off of black folk and the things that black people do that we're stigmatized by, or we're like people consider as like stereotypical behavior, like the Catch Me Outside girl. Everyone loves, everyone's creating memes about her. Like Mama has like coming up with like a reality show deal or whatever. But meanwhile, if a black girl acts like that, has that same behavior, she has like essentially again a scarlet letter or something on her that like basically prohibits her to be able to be a productive member of society. But yet you let a white girl go on Dr. Phil and have the same type of behavior, and Mama's like a millionaire. But my kind of beef is like the fact that like black people as well continue to embrace the behavior. Like we continue to say it's okay, or we continue to like let it slide. No, we need to call her out. Like we need to call her out on the fact that she's appropriating black behavior, and you know, and it's not black behavior like. Seriously, it's not black behavior. It's because how can you act a color? That's been my complete kind of argument this entire time since I've like kind of embraced my blackness, because I had an identity crisis at one point. I just really wanted to be like a white boy. But it comes to a point where like you have to identify the reality that y'all are like really gassing up a girl, but like if a black girl acted like that, we wouldn't be laughing with her, we'd be laughing at her. We wouldn't be like giving her opportunity to have money, we'd be scolding her because she's not being a productive member of society. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm going to be going like into later. And also the fact that like I'm almost done with my public health program, because I have been going to school as well on top of everything else I've been doing, and that's why I've really taken a break from the block situation. So anyway, I'm trying to cover up, you know, my colors. But with that being said, I will be filming today, hopefully releasing it soon, probably by the end of the day. So it's essentially going to be like one take, so you can get the pure essence of everything. And I really look forward to being engaged again on my Snapchat and Instagram. I'm +life_of_Pat, and then also on Facebook, I am Pause Life of Patrick, and my website, pauselifeofpatrick.com, where I will place the videos up and kind of some written thoughts and like, you know, reflections as well. So with that being said, take care. Look forward to speaking with you and continuing this great journey. It's only just getting started. So take care. Have a great day. And positivity is definitely everything. Bye.